Daniel Khalife escaped from HMP Wandsworth in South London yesterday. He's thought to have climbed out of a kitchen window, strapped himself to the bottom of a food delivery van. Khalife, a former soldier, is accused of spying for the Iranians and of planting hoax bombs at military bases. The 21-year-old is described as low risk to the public, but police have increased security checks at airports and ports. And there's a big scandal here, isn't there? Because this, whether or not it's a high security prison or a low security, you really shouldn't be able to get out like this. So the male terrorist suspect flees jail, strapped under delivery van. That's their headline. Let's just remind ourselves of his name under the picture here, Daniel Abed Khalife. It is, and there is Wandsworth Prison for you. And it's got a bit of history here. It's not the first time we've seen this. Now, what happened, what they think, is he actually climbed and hung on to the bottom of this van, presumably without the driver's knowledge. He would be almost invisible even in a chef's outfit, in profile. The danger is if the driver goes over speed bumps. So there he is, the bottom of the lorry. He gets out. We don't know where he is now. As I say, this prison has history. And we go back to the mid-60s and the Great Train Robbery. 2.6 million in cash they got away with. Can you imagine? Audacious robbery. Ronnie Biggs was at the centre of it. And Ronnie got out. He's dead now. He got out of Wandsworth. And they have the same headline then as we have now. How on earth could it have happened? Prison escapes should not be romanticised. But some of them have been creative in the past. Just a few, not many. This is Gartree, Leicestershire, near Market Harborough. 1987 we go back to, and a robber and a murderer, Kendall and Draper. Here they are. So this is the only one of its kind that involved a helicopter. An accomplice hijacked a helicopter. The pilot didn't know what was going on. Got it to land in a football field in the prison grounds. They ran away from the exercise yard into the chopper. Kendall and Draper were waiting. They dashed across a field. A jailer was injured. They then got on the road. They hijacked a Ford Transit van. They got away for quite a while, and then they were recaptured. Most people are. Doubtless Khalife will be. It's very hard to escape from prison. After the 87 escape at Gartree, the only one in Britain involving a helicopter, they had a big announcement. They were going to put what they call foils in to stop helicopters landing. But they're creative, and this he's taken a chance going out underneath a van, Yasmin.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think we should remember that the examples you've used, how rare it is that this happens. Actually, it's a rarity. And I think it's interesting to people that it happens. And I do think that there's a tendency to romanticize these escapes. I mean, the Ronnie Big became a kind of anti-hero for such a long time. I didn't know about the helicopter one. Of course, these were before there were mobile phones or any of that. So how did they communicate? I mean, it is extraordinary when you look at it, but
they had a dry run.
I didn't know
they landed it nearby as a dry run, I gather. But you're right, they would have had to send a coded letter.
I know, whatever it was. But this young man, he's very young, isn't he? And I knew nothing about him. I don't know who he is. These things, there's no foolproof prison system. The remarkable thing is that so little of this happens.
Well, we don't tend to have mass breakouts, except for that famous one in the 80s in the Maze prison in Northern Ireland, where they basically lost the entire contingent of the IRA in one afternoon.
Yeah. So I don't think we should be talking about our prisons too soft or anything. They're not.
Well, he climbed out of a kitchen window, this fella, Belinda. It is a bit concerning.
So resourceful, this sort of fresh, baby-faced young man, has done something quite extraordinary. But his crimes, if proved, if he's found guilty of them, are very, very serious. Terrorist activity should be. I believe he should have been in a higher security prison for that. Because it's an odd one. He's looking at what he's accused of. You can't work out what he was up to. So he planted allegedly fake bombs around an army base where he was stationed himself. And he was then found to have been, they think, gathering intelligence for Iran. It's a very odd combination of offences.
They're still saying he's no danger to the public.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people he may have not had a...
It's complicated.
He probably hasn't hit anyone in his life. He can be dangerous in other ways. He can be dangerous to the state, but he's not going to actually shoot anybody or stab anybody. maybe he's a non-violent person. I mean, it's all very weird.
It's probably going to be made into a movie, though. This kind of when humans are so attracted to other humans getting out of the puzzles. That's why we love the Krypton factor. That's why we love labyrinths and mazes. And when you have a story like this, people are fascinated. How did he do it? And you know that you have to have some guts.
Well, you're right.
Quite brazen.
And saying they shouldn't be romanticised. I went to see Alcatraz, the most secure jail in the world at the time, because it was an island with sharks around it, and a guy. He saved bars of soap. He moulded them into a shape of a head. He unstitched his shirt and created hair. He put this soapy head with fake hair into his bed, and he got out through the ceiling and was never seen again. And when you go round Alcatraz, everybody wants to see his cell. They've recreated it with a soap-shaped head in it, and we all stood there looking. So it's in our nature. You're so right. It's in our nature. John in Durham, hi.
There.
Have you seen him?
Yeah. I think prison should be a punishment. It's too easy.
To escape, or just to have a day-to-day existence?
Well, I think prisoners should be kept in solitary confinement as far as possible, with no books, no television, nothing from the outside world, just them sat in a cell with nothing to do 24 hours a day. And
what would happen when I'm just thinking, John, you can't... One of the things they try to do is encourage good behaviour. So they say if you behave well for a month, we'll give you a book to read. You wouldn't have any of that. You don't like that?
No, I would have nothing. I would have them locked away 24 hours a day, and it would be an uncomfortable place. I would have them on rationed. The food would be rationed. They would have the same rations as we had during the war. OK. Would you allow them a TV? No. No TV, no radio, no books, nothing to do all day but just sit on their bunk and... Oh, so they would have a bunk. OK. Yasmin?
I mean, that's just so disgraceful. Such a disgraceful, because there are crimes and there are crimes. And I thought we were a Christian country, John. So we redeem them and we give them another chance and we help them behave better. What are you going to achieve by this absolutely inhumane way of treating them? I grew up in a country where prisoners were treated like you've said. And let me tell you, they came out of there more savage, more angry, and more determined to hurt more people.
But Belinda, John is talking to a very live topic, which is whether prison is seen as too soft.
So I don't think prison is supposed to be nice or comfortable or, a place where it's all about you growing and developing as a person. I agree that rehabilitation has to be part of it, and I believe in safeguarding. But there has to be a punishment element in there, because when I think of a crime, my first thought is absolutely with the victim and not with the perpetrator. That will come afterwards. And I think the only way victims can heal often is that there is a consequence that isn't having a nice TV and hanging out with old mates that you may have met before in a prison and, sharing an Xbox or whatever. OK. Or it's punishment.
All right, John, thank you for your call. More coming on this after the break. Does a prisoner escaping from a jail in London through a kitchen window, dressed as a chef, prove that our prisons are too soft?